Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Weather remains a big concern for firefighters as we head into the Labor Day weekend. Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. Heartbreaking video released this afternoon of the historic Sperry Chalet in Glacier National Park going up in flames last night.
It's unbelievable new video from Glacier Park. It shows the loss of one of the park's most historic buildings to that wildfire yesterday. The Sprague fire claimed the main building of the Sperry Chalet last night. Glacier Park officials say firefighters had been battling the ember shower from the approaching fire, and then they suddenly noticed puffs of smoke under an eave. They immediately sprayed the area with water because they thought it was an ember on the roof. But almost instantaneously, the window broke out and flames were licking at the eaves, destroying that historic building.
It was a week of hot temperatures, red flag warnings, and at times hazardous air quality. Fire season, in fact, is so bad now, Governor Bullock is ordering a state of disaster in Montana.
This latest declaration will allow the governor to mobilize additional state resources and the Montana National Guard to combat these fires. And as we head into the Labor Day weekend, let's take a look now at the status of the fires that are burning across western Montana right now. The Rice Ridge fire near Seeley Lake, 18% contained, but evacuation orders and warnings remain for nearly 1,100 buildings in and around the town of Seeley. The Sprague fire burning in Glacier National Park, destroying that historic chalet yesterday. Fire officials are also telling us the fire doubled in size overnight, growing an additional 2,500 acres. So now the total is 4,700. But going to the Sun Road remains open, as well as the majority of the park to visitors.
65 homeowners living near the Nelson Creek fire south of Darby allowed to return home this morning after being evacuated earlier in the week. That 205-acre fire on the West Fork is 15% contained. Evacuation orders remain in place for the Frog Pond area in Granite County near the Myers fire. Also evacuation warnings in place for about 225 homes in the East Fork of Southeast Ravalli County and Moose Lake residents in Granite County.
Evacuation warnings were lifted in Missoula County around the Lolo Peak fire earlier this week, but residents in Ravalli County near the fire still remain under evacuation warnings tonight. Firefighters, though, are making progress on this nearly 40,000-acre fire. It's 31% contained. A fire sparked this week in Sanders County. The Sheep Gap fire grew from 200 to an estimated 1,000 acres west of Thompson Falls. Homes along the River Road West remain under pre-evacuation notice. So how is the weather going to impact the fires this weekend? Let's check in now with meteorologist Russ Thomas, who has our first forecast now. Russ.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend weather-wise, especially if you consider the extended day of Monday being Labor Day, because it is going to be very active. Let's start off, though, what we've got with our temperatures right now. We're seeing in the low 90s in northwest Montana, otherwise mid to upper 80s. That includes 84 in Missoula and Polson, 86 in Kalispell, 88 degrees in Hamilton. As far as our humidity values go, not that bad. Certainly they're low, but typically we see at least this, if not lower. The issue is going to be is that high pressure centers itself more overhead Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures are going to get hotter and those humidity levels are going to go down. And then Sunday night and Monday, big concern as the front approaches. First strong west winds, then shifting toward the east late Sunday night and Monday. And we'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
Swan High School classes are moving to the resort at Paws Up next week because the high school is in an evacuation zone. School officials canceled classes this week, and next Tuesday, high schoolers will be relocated to the new administrative building at the resort at Paws Up in Greeno. Classes will be held there until further notice. All students have to ride the bus to get there. For details on updated bus routes and bus stop locations, go to our website at KPAX.com. Practices for sports will be held at Mount Jumbo Elementary in Missoula. Athletes will be bused to practices, and all competitions will be rescheduled to alternate locations. Parents should direct all questions to this temporary school phone number. It is 274-0596.
And a public meeting about the Rice Ridge fire near Seeley will begin at 6 o'clock tonight. That'll be at the Ovando Elementary School. One of the longest burning fires in western Montana continues to consume timber in the southern Sapphire Range after making a run over the Ravalli County line earlier this week. The Myers fire also started during passing lightning storms in mid-July and has burned 23,000 acres as of this afternoon. Just under 300 firefighters still working the blaze, in addition to support from the Montana National Guard, which are manning roadblocks in the area. The fire had mainly been burning in Granite County, south and southeast of Phillipsburg, but made a run into the East Fork of the Bitterroot in high wind winds earlier this week. Fire operations continued today with residents in the Upper East Fork remaining on evacuation warnings. A public meeting to discuss the Myers fire will be held in just a few minutes. It starts at 6 o'clock tonight at the Sula Community Clubhouse there on the East Fork Road in Sula. The Sheep Gap fire between Plains and Thompson Falls is one we're really watching now. It's grown, as we said a minute ago, to 1,000 acres now. A community meeting to discuss firefighting efforts, the evacuation warnings, and area closures. That's also going to be held tonight, 6 o'clock at the Thompson Falls Community Center.
Burnout operations are continuing on the Lolo Peak fire as fire managers continue to try and use the landscape and the weather to slow the big fire spread to the south. The fire, which was started by lightning in mid-July, has burned just under 40,000 acres as of this morning. Thursday's strong winds presented another challenge for fire crews, and the fire did make a run to the south through One Horse Creek. But that is where firefighters had already built burnout boxes to keep the fire from spreading down into Florence.
So yesterday, the fire got established at the bottom of One Horse Creek and then started moving up the mountain and got up toward the top of the ridge. And then last night, the weather conditions became more favorable for a burnout operation, and we conducted a burnout operation of about 50 to 60 acres that connected with the other burn blocks that have been done in the past to help shore up that eastern side of the fire.
The majority of the smoke we're seeing today along the front comes from those burnout operations, with local firefighters on standby to locate any spot fires before they spread. They're also there to protect foothill homes. Lolo Peak is still the most expensive fire in the state, more than $34 million spent through yesterday. But those expenses are climbing more slowly now that air operations are not as extensive.
We're also finding out not only the fires and evacuations being impacted, but a lot of other impacts here. Florence Carlton school officials say they've never experienced air quality issues like what they've been preparing for next week as kids head back to class.
MTN's Augusta McDonald has the story on efforts to clean up the air quality in the classroom.
The Ravalli Public Health Department secured 80 air filters through their annual emergency preparedness grant from the state. They're arriving next week to be distributed through all 7 Ravalli County school districts. Just west of Florence Carlton schools, if you look right over my shoulder, that's the Lolo Peak fire sending plumes of smoke into the air.
Last night, it was blowing right at the school. You couldn't see the sun. It was actually dropped the temperature about 10 degrees, and the hallways where kids were coming in and out for practices and stuff were pretty smoky.
Air quality at Florence Carlton is a particular concern, and the school is taking its own steps to make sure the air is clean. The superintendent is heading out of state for the filters they need.
Today I'm going to drive over to Spokane, pick up 15 for our lower primary K3 and put them into our those classrooms so they'll have the weekend to work on cleaning up the air for the kids.
The school is investing about $4,000 into those air filters. Some of that cost is offset by money paid by the Forest Service, while Lolo Peak Fire Management was based at the school. The American Lung Association is also providing 8 filters. Students will breathe easier in the classroom next week. Reporting in Florence, I'm Augusta McDonald for MTN News.
School starts on Tuesday. They do expect to have air filters in most classrooms by the end of next week. If you'd like to support efforts to provide those air filters for Florence Carlton schools, you can call their office 273-6751 or check the school's Facebook page. Strong winds at the 630-acre Upper Midway fire near Ravalli pushed flames across containment lines at one location yesterday, but helicopters assisted firefighters in responding quickly, limiting the fire's growth to about 26 acres. The fire is burning mostly in grass. It's 80% contained, and there are 34 firefighters assigned to this one.
It's been a busy month, busy summer, and we're continuing to track all the fire information for you on air and online, especially our Facebook and Twitter feeds and the KPAX mobile app. And a lot of people have been saying they really appreciate those updates, so we're going to keep bringing them to you as long as the smoke keeps happening. Up next, Russ has a look at your hot and hazy Labor Day forecast.
And Missoula County residents will be seeing an increase in their taxes because of many factors. We'll explain what it means for your wallet and take a look at the budget next on KPAX.